I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. It's always a good time to buy and it's always a good time to sell Vancouver real estate. Sometimes I'll get razzed with a comment on YouTube. Somebody will post that saying, Mr. Bigland, you sound like a typical realtor. Always a good time to buy and always a good time to sell. Well, the actual truth is it can be a good time to buy and a good time to sell in any given market in Vancouver. It all depends on the person's personal circumstance. So I thought in this blog, I'll just go through some of the reasons why someone might want to sell a property in Vancouver. And then of course, the reasons I've always given over the years for buying. As people know, I'm a big believer in just buying and holding real estate, whether start with your principal residence and then buy some investment properties, buy them, put a tenant in there, let the tenant pay down most of the expenses, and including a lot of the mortgage interest and even principal. Keep it, it's what I call the ghost ship principle, and have a look at it in 20 or 25 years, what it's worth. But there are plenty of good reasons to sell real estate as well. So I'm going to run through some of those reasons here. So the first one is one that I get at least 2 or 3 times a year. I'll get someone who will call me up and say, Owen, I'm thinking about selling an investment property. And usually what it is, it's usually a single family detached home or maybe a higher end townhome, valued at 1.5, 1.6, $2 million, let's say. And oftentimes it was their principal residence for a number of years, and then they decided to move up or downsize and decided to then rent out or turn that former principal residence into an investment property. Now, in a lot of cases when these homes, let's give you an example here that I just had in Richmond not long ago. It was a single family detached home, about 2,500 square feet, 30 years old. This had been a principal residence of this couple for about 15 years, but for the last 3 years they had turned it into an investment property. They had rented it out. Now, of course, the value of that principal residence has gone up substantially over the last 6 or 7 years. I would say right now it's worth about $1.6 million. But the rent they're currently getting on it is at $2,800 a month, which is about typical for a single family home out in Richmond right now. So your cap rate on that is not very good. The cap rate is the current market value divided by the annual rent minus your expenses or your net income. And you know, it works out to a fairly low cap rate, 1.5%. So in this situation, if they want to be property investors, they'd be far better off to have me sell the house, get 1.6 or $1.7 million for it. And if they want to be an investor, take some money off the table and buy some one-bedroom condos, concrete condos in downtown Vancouver. You can buy a $600,000 unit downtown that'll get you $2,000, $2,100, $2,200 a month. You could buy 3 of them if you wanted to sell that house and roll the whole thing into investment properties, which would get you about 2 or 2.5 times the cap rate. So in that situation, it can make sense to sell the big detached home that's got a low cap rate, and if you still want to get into property investment, buy some simple one-bedroom concrete units that will get you a much better cap rate. The other situation I get with a lot of people is I will get investors, long-time investors. So these are guys that have done it right. They've done what I've advocated on my blog here. You buy the property, you put a tenant in it, you keep it for 20 or 30 years, and then have a look at it and what it's worth and collect those cash flows. I will get investors that own multiple properties, 5, 6, 7 properties that are now getting into their 60s or 70s. They're starting to travel more and they want to start downsizing or start limiting some of their work in managing their properties. So the time has come where they've made a lot of money, a lot of capital gains. These properties are long been paid off. They don't have a mortgage on them. So they're getting taxed on all that income that's coming in. In those situations, sometimes they might call me up and say, yeah, I've got 4 units. Let's sell one this year. Let's sell another one next year and start to take down their workload. They're getting into their 70s, as I say. They want to retire and cut back on some of their work. So in that situation, it makes sense. Again, they've done this right. They bought it 25 years ago, this unit for 150 grand. It's worth 650 now. Sure, pay the tax man, pay the capital gain, but you know, take down some of your workload, enjoy life, take the money, travel with it, do whatever you want. So in those situations, again, it makes sense to maybe sell one or two of the properties and you know, diverse some of your holdings out of the income or out of investment properties. Another situation I'll get, of course, is a common one where people will call me. They're in a detached home or a larger townhouse. They're getting older. They want to downsize. If it's a detached home, the kids have grown up. They're out of the house. They've got 3,000 square feet. They're not using half the house. Let's sell the detached house and buy a condo, downsize into a 2-bedroom or something. So they're going to take some money off the table, sell the detached house for $2 million, and buy a $1.2 million condo in Yaletown or Cole Harbour and live the downtown lifestyle. So it makes a lot of sense. You know, the market right now, as I've been blogging about here for a long time, it's a strong seller's market. And remember, this strong seller's market is not going to last forever. It's been going on here for the last 6 years. One of these days, maybe in 2018, maybe 2019, first the market is going to get leveled off. It's going to balance out. Prices will stop continuing to go up. And then we will get a correction here. We will slowly slide into more of a buyer's market. It's going to happen, folks. I've been blogging about this for a long time. Sooner or later, this bull run is going to end. So, hey, if you think some of the reasons I just gave here that you might need to sell in the next year, 18 months, then you know what? I think spring 2018 would be a good time to get the home listed, put it on the market, and take it from there. Good times to buy. Well, I've done lots of blogs on good time to buy. If you're currently renting in Vancouver right now and paying $2,200 a month for a 1-bedroom, get that down payment money together, get yourself pre-approved, and buy your principal residence. Renting versus owning, until interest rates get up to about 8 or 9%, the conversation is over. It makes no sense to be a long-term renter. Anyone that tells you that it does is not giving you the full numbers there. Break the numbers down. I've done lots of blogs on it in the past. First off, you're getting that principal residence exemption. After you get your down payment, that's the big hurdle for everyone. Once you've got your down payments in place, the cost to carry your mortgage, your maintenance fees, and your property taxes aren't going to be much more than what you're currently paying for rent. All the capital gains are going to go tax-free, but there's a myriad of other reasons about owning your principal residence as opposed to renting. Not to mention the fact these days in Vancouver, I hear stories all the time of these renters that are living like gypsies. You know, they live in a place for a year, get the notice that they're not going to be able to renew their lease, or they're going to do a renoviction, or they're going to sell the property. These people are bouncing around all over the place. There's no stability there. So owning your, the only thing with owning that I've always said here is you need to have at least an 8 to 10 year window. That is mandatory. So if you say, I want to buy a place, but I might be getting transferred to Montreal in 2 years, I would say just stay renting, or go ahead, buy the property, but in 2 years, if you have to move to Montreal and the market is down, it's worth less than what you paid for it today, which it could very well be. You've got a plan B. You can rent the unit, put a tenant in there for the next couple of years, wait till the market recovers, and then sell it from Montreal later on down the road. So always a good time to buy, always a good time to sell. I know it sounds crazy, but it all depends on the person. There are plenty of good reasons to sell. And what I would tell people, again, that I've blogged about many times before, if you think this spring might be a good time to sell, which it is, market's still hot, still favoring the sellers, interest rates are still low, inventory is still at historic low levels, it's a great time to be a seller, not as good of a time to be a buyer. Make sure you interview at least 2 or 3 realtors for the job. I did that blog not long ago on how the typical realtor in Toronto is doing 0 deals. 50% of all the realtors in Toronto are doing 1 deal or less. It's crazy. Hire a listing and marketing specialist like myself. Put me on your short list. Let me be one of the 2 or 3 realtors you interview. It'll take me 15 minutes. I'll give you my marketing strategy on how to list, sell your house to get maximum dollar. Do your homework, hire a pro, hire a listing specialist, and interview several for the job to see who you think will do the best job for you. I'm Owen Bigland. If you haven't joined my YouTube blog yet, please subscribe. I'll see you next week.